So if we can, just to set the mood and to help people understand who you are, can you tell me who is Sheikh Imran Hosein and what you stand for?
Before I respond, my brother Chunk, to the invitation to introduce myself, let me tell you that I've been visiting Malaysia since 1988. And I actually lived in Malaysia for 5 years when I got permanent residence. And my impression of Malaysia is that while the Chinese and the Malay and the Indians, but particularly the Chinese and the Malay, are living together in the same country, they appear to be living as strangers to each other. And I'm so happy that you are making an effort, courageously so, to try to bridge the gap between the two people. I come from forefathers who left India about 200 years ago, looking for a better way of life in the Caribbean. I was born in the Caribbean island of Trinidad, which is at the closest point only 9 miles away from Venezuela. And we have Spanish as a second language in our schools. But we are an English-speaking people. So I am the 3rd generation in Trinidad. I studied Islam for 1 year in Egypt at the most famous Islamic university in the world of Islam, the Al-Azhar University in Cairo, but then left Egypt and went to Pakistan and studied under a very famous scholar of Islam, a philosopher and an Islamic scholar, Maulana Dr. Fadlur Rahman Ansari. And then I graduated from the Karachi University in philosophy, went back to Trinidad and joined the Foreign Service, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I got a scholarship to go to the Institute of International Relations of the University of the West Indies to study international politics, international economics. And then I got a further scholarship to go to the Graduate Institute of International Studies in Geneva, Switzerland, to do the PhD. I worked in the Foreign Service for about 5 years, but I didn't like the job. I didn't have the freedom to speak. You're a diplomat. So I retired I resigned as soon as my contract was over. And since then, I have been a roving Islamic scholar. I spent about 12 years in the United States. They were very beneficial years for me for understanding the world. And since 9/11, I left the United States. I knew I wouldn't have freedom there anymore. And I've been traveling and writing books on Islam. And I started to specialize in Islamic eschatology. And Malaysia has been a home for me for many years. And the people of Malaysia have welcomed me in a very nice and friendly way. And I've grown to like your durian. And I'm back here after 5 years. Yeah.
Imran, that is so heartening to hear that you have spent some time in Malaysia and you understand the pressures that we in Malaysia go through, and of course the silos that we built around us. But nonetheless, this question needs to be asked because as it stands, we don't really understand each other, as you quite rightly point out. What do non-Muslims like me need to know about Islam?
It is necessary for every human being, whether you are Chinese or Indian or Malay or European, it makes no difference. You're a human being. And every human being must use the rational faculty with which you have been endowed, the rational faculty to think. And those who fail to think will pay the price for it. And when you think, you have to find out what is that which explains all things, what is truth. Every Chinese would want to know what is truth. Every Indian would want to know what is truth. And the answer to that question is truth is that which explains all things, which explains our existence, which gave us this wondrous diversity, that some people are fair skinned, some people are dark skinned, some people are shaped like this, others are shaped like that. Not that we should be rivals with each other, not that some should believe we are born superior to the other, with chips on your shoulder. Such a people are diseased. The diversity amongst mankind is not a liability, it's an asset. It is similar to the different colors of the flowers in the garden. And the diversity should be a means through which we will distinguish ourselves from each other in a positive way and build contacts with each other. If you didn't have rivers in the world, if you didn't have mountains in the world, how would you know direction? So similarly, the diversity that is there, well, what is it that explains the diversity in our races, our languages, our colors? And our answer is there is a supreme being. All people recognize that there is a supreme being. The difference is between those who say there is a multiplicity of divine beings and those who insist there is only one God, one unity. And therefore from one God comes one human family. If you have a multiplicity of gods, you are setting the stage for rivalry between different human beings. And so Islam, the religion, says there is one God and there is only one religion. There are different religious communities, but one religion. And Islam means, the meaning of the word Islam, forget what you've been taught by your neighbor. The meaning of the word Islam is submission to that one God. That is Islam. And that's one God not only created us from nothing, but also sent people who would be guides to teach us. And China has a lot of knowledge about that. I wrote a book on Gautama Buddha when I was a student. And I am convinced that Gautama Buddha was one of those guides, China knows about Confucius, okay? And we in the Abrahamic faiths, we know about our father Abraham and Moses and Jesus and so on. And Malaysia has all this religious diversity here in this country. I congratulate you, Chang, that it is time for you not to live as strangers to each other, but learn how to communicate with each other. If you come to me with a sword in your hand to seek to demolish me and my conception of truth, I don't want to talk to you. If you are hostile to me, we can't have a dialogue. That's the door. Leave. Don't come back. But if you show respect for me, and if we can differ respectfully, we can have a meaningful dialogue in this country. I'm not Malaysian. I'm here. Malaysia is not the most important country for me at this time. Southeast Asia is not. Russia is far more important for me at this time than Southeast Asia. So in this old age of mine, I devote more time and more attention to the Orthodox Christian world. You know them, because those are Christians who say a man can never marry another man and get a marriage certificate here. There are other Christians who don't follow Jesus. They follow a fellow called Santa Claus. You must have heard of him. So those Christians, they're a waste of time. But these Christians are similar to us, Muslims. they have a conception of religion that is quite similar to ours. And they are the ones who are now becoming dominant in the world militarily. Russia is the dominant military power in the world today. And we are forging friendship and alliance between the world of Islam and the world of Orthodox Christianity, led by Russia. I don't hide this agenda of mine, okay? So Malaysia is not that important for me at this time. But I'm happy to be here at a time when it's the durian season, and I'm happy to respond to your invitation for today's interview. I hope we can do it again and again. What is the way on which we should follow? What is the strategy for us to start talking to each other, to understand each other? This was my introduction to Islam.
And yet, people of other faith belong to faiths which say they are the only faiths that matter, firstly. And secondly, there remain misconceptions about Islam as there are misconceptions about other religions. And having lived in America for 12 years, you know some of those misconceptions, which I'm sure you're going to be writing now.
The Quran, for us, is our absolute source of truth, not the mufti, not the minister, not Tom, Dick, and Harry. They don't speak with authority, not the king. The Quran speaks with authority. And the Christian, the Muslim, and the Jew, all three, believe in a father called Abraham. And the Quran says to our Prophet Muhammad, Allah's blessing be upon him, commanding him, you must follow the religion of Abraham. Let me repeat that for your audience. The Quran commands Prophet Muhammad, Allah's blessing be upon him, that you must follow the religion of Abraham. The Christian believes in Abraham. The Jew believes in Abraham. So from which garbage bin did this nonsense come? Excuse my violent language. That Islam is a religion which came with Prophet Muhammad. It never existed before. And it is a religion of those who follow him. From which garbage bin did that nonsense come? When the Quran orders you follow the religion of Abraham. And every Christian believes in Abraham long before us. And every Jew believes in Abraham long before the Christian and the Muslim. Abraham is pivotally important for the Jew. So let us first of all demolish this nonsense that Islam is a religion which came with Prophet Muhammad for the first time, and it is a religion exclusive to those who follow him. I don't know from which garbage bin that nonsense came from. No, there is only one God and only one truth, and therefore only one religious way of life. Call it what you want. We say it's a religion of submission to him. I don't submit to any constitution. Chung, the Constitution is not the supreme authority for me. You can put me in jail if you want for that statement. You could say it's sedition. But I don't submit to any constitution as absolute truth. I don't submit to any government as absolute truth. Okay? And I invite the Christian and the Jew and the Buddhist to do the same. Yeah, we submit to absolute truth which comes from the Lord God. That is our conception. And there is only one God, one truth, one religious way of life, but multiplicity, diversity. This is the splendor of his wisdom, that he created many different religious communities in the one true religion.
At a practical level, what does that mean for people who profess different faiths, but who live under the same sky
You
in Malaysia?
first of all must recognize you do not belong to different religions. Rather, you belong to different religious communities within the framework of the one religion, which is the religion which has come from the one God. The one God doesn't have 3 or 4 conceptions of truth, John. No. If you believe in one God, fine, you are my brother. If you believe in many gods, that's the road, go, leave me alone. Right? If there's one God, there's one truth.
And yet there are many beliefs and customs which separate people from one another. Different diets, different ways of dressing, different beliefs, different habits. How can this be so?
Well, I thank the Lord God for that multiplicity. I thank the Lord God for all this diversity. And I want to know where that idiot came from. Who all of us must give up what we are eating and eat only Kentucky Fried Chicken. All of us must give up the different clothing that we have, and all of us must wear the same stupid blue jeans. Huh? All of us must give up our local languages and speak only your language, English. Why you want to transform all of mankind into one global society, monotonously so, when all through history we've had the splendor of different peoples, different cultures, different cuisine, different languages, different clothing, and it was a wondrous thing to travel and see the multiplicity of mankind. This is not a liability, Chang. This is an asset.
If, as you point out, which I also believe to be the case, if we are all brothers and sisters under the same sky on earth, why is there so much suspicion and ignorance and fear of one another on earth?
When a people are oppression, it naturally results in negative feelings towards the oppressor. There is oppression today in many parts of the world. And if I point out that oppression and you feel uncomfortable about it, that's not my problem, that's yours. You can't recognize oppression because it's inconvenient to do so. Okay? It is politically inconvenient to do so. There was oppression in this part of the world, in Southeast Asia. It would not be necessary for me to point out and identify the oppression. But that oppression has resulted in negative feelings for each other. One of the ways in which we can address the problem is by calling a spade and recognizing the evil which was done by modern Western civilization in many parts of the world. Everywhere they went, they left their bloody footprints. Everywhere they went, they corrupted mankind. And they spread their tentacles all over the world. Modern Western civilization, including this part of the world. And they left nastiness behind. One of which, of course, is that they remove real money from the market. Money with intrinsic value. You are a financial analyst. I'm an eschatologist. And they left real money with intrinsic value. They removed it from the market and they replaced it with bogus, fraudulent, sinful money, which they are using to rip off mankind, to impoverish the masses around the world, to reduce them to destitution, and eventually to enslave them. Do I need to speak more?
1971, President Nixon taking the dollar off the gold standard. Why do you think they did that?
You're changing the subject of discussion now, John.
Well, I mean, you talked about it, right? You talked about the removal of...
All right, I'll respond to you, but then we get back to our topic. Why did Nixon do what he did in September 1971 to tear up the Bretton Woods Accord and to violate international law. The United States had obligations under international law to redeem US dollars for gold at the rate of $35 for 1 ounce of gold. This is the Articles of Agreement of the International Monetary Fund. As a consequence, while all the rest of currencies, now we have a new word we never had before in human history, something called currencies. Mankind had gold and silver coins all over the world. You could travel anywhere in the world and you could buy and sell with the same money. And then came these people with only peanuts in their head. And they changed that monetary system, which was universally applicable and made so much sense. And they gave us this new system, which came from a garbage bin. All these currencies, which have no intrinsic value, they're just paper. But only one currency had some integrity, and that was His Majesty the US dollar. Because you could redeem, you're obliged to redeem. The United States government was obliged under international law to redeem US dollars for gold at $35 an ounce. Good. This is the IMF, the Articles of Agreement. Amongst those who recognized that the monetary system was bogus and fraudulent was Ahmad Sukarno in this part of the world. And as a result, today he's forgotten, naturally. The ones that you remember are not Ahmad Sukarno. And in Europe, the most famous name of all was Charles de Gaulle. And they recognized that this was bogus. And this was favoring the United States to become wealthy at the expense of others. In this part of the world came Dr. Mahathir, who late in his life as Prime Minister then attempted to respond. And Charles de Gaulle stood up in the French National Assembly in 1966 and blasted the monetary system as unjust. I don't know any mufti in Malaysia who ever did that, who has the competence to do that. But they are muftis. And Charles de Gaulle said, okay, since the law, international law, allows us to redeem dollars for gold, we're going to do it. And the French central bank started sending dollars to the United States demanding gold. So what they did was, this was uncomfortable for them. They wouldn't want this to go on because the system will collapse. The bogus system will collapse. So they got rid of Charles de Gaulle. Yeah, they know this is called regime change. They have PhDs in that, these wicked people. But after they got rid of Charles de Gaulle, the French government that succeeded him still continued the policy of redeeming US dollars for gold, and the United States did not like that. So when in September 1971, the French government said we want $3 billion US in gold, Nixon said enough is enough. This is going to threaten the house of cards. It could collapse. And that's why he reneged on his obligations under international law. He said, in effect, we gave our word that we would redeem US dollars for gold at $35 an ounce, but we don't have to keep our word. That is modern Western civilization, a people you cannot trust. And as soon as he made this declaration, the US dollar went into a place called no man's land. The rest, you should know it because you are a financial analyst. That they were on both sides of the war in October 1973, 2 years later. The Soviet Union was playing along with them that the war should go to a draw. As soon as that war started, King Faisal in Saudi Arabia imposed an oil boycott on the United States. They knew it was coming, and they wanted it to come. And the price of oil rose by 400% from $3 a barrel to $12. And the US dollar, which had fallen to 40 from 35, it fell by 400% to 160. Even a schoolboy should be able to understand that there's something bogus in the system, that a war in the Middle East between Israel and the Arabs should affect the international currency. If you had gold and silver, that wouldn't happen. So that is why they did it.